Hi everybody, this is Julia with Simply Love Designs, and today I'm going to show you how to make a simple night sky painting using just one color. So first things, I'm only using one color for this. You can choose whatever color you want. I'm using what's called Payne's Gray. And then the first thing you're going to want to do is, I've already put watercolor paint in my palette, and so I need to get it wet so that it'll reactivate the paint. So I'm gonna put some water in there, let it sit for a minute, clean my brush, and then the brushes that I'm using are, this blue one is a Blick round brush, size 8, and then the flat brush, which is what I'm gonna use to get the paper wet, is a Royal in Nickel, size 6. So today I'm showing you how to use the wet on wet technique. So the first thing I did was get the whole page wet. So now the paper is wet, and then I'm using a wet watercolor, so wet on wet. So with this, we're gonna create kind of like an ombre fade from like a dark color, because it's like a night sky, right? So you have darker high up and lighter at the horizon. And so we're just gonna kind of spread the watercolor all around. I'm only using the one color, and so I chose the top to be my darkest part. So I'll keep adding dark on there and then keep spreading out the paint as I go, adding little bits of water as I need. You don't wanna get too much water because then you can't control the paint at all. But I keep going until I get the top as dark as I want it. And then I spread out the paint as I go here until it looks good to me. So next, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna dry this. You can wait for it to air dry if you want to take that time. For purposes of showing you how this works, I am going to use a embossing heat gun to dry it. And the trick with this is you just need to keep it moving. So you can use a hair dryer or anything like that. You just need to make sure you move it across the paper as you dry it so that you don't burn the paper. So now that your painting is dry, I'm going to move on and use some Dr. P.H. Martin's Bleed Proof White for the stars. So what I do is I mix a little bit of paint in the lid here with a little bit of water to get a good consistency. And then I'm going to show you, I messed up right here. So I'm just taking a little bit of paper towel, getting it a little bit wet, and then kind of dabbing at it right here until I get the majority of that paint off. And then you can keep going. So as long as you catch it right when it's wet, you can usually get it off. So then once the paint is the consistency, I just tap it. I was kind of trying out the flat brush here to see if it worked. It didn't work great. I do the round brush in a minute here to finish up the stars, and it worked better. But go ahead and rotate the paper as you need. These ones are pretty big stars. It just depends on the consistency that you get. And you'll have to experiment and try out and see what you like. So next I'm going to use the round brush. Oh, I dabbed the bottom a little bit because I'm going to add mountains to the bottom, and so I don't want the stars to be too bright at the lightest part of the sky. Alright, so I'm going to mix some more with my round brush here to get a good consistency, and then I tap it again, and since it's a little bit thinner and with the round brush it works a little bit better for me to get the smaller stars. If you don't have the Dr. P.H. Martin's Bleed Proof White, you can also use a white gel pen to draw in the stars. It's a little bit harder to get them randomized, but that's totally something that you can do. Alright, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and use the same paint, but in a much lower concentration of water to pigment to paint, so that it's the darkest color on the page. And then I'm just going to draw in some mountains. I use a little bit of water as needed to spread it, but I want it to be very dark, like you're looking out over the horizon. And I just paint in those mountains as I go. You can do trees, you can do mountains, you can do hills. I've seen some palm tree ones that are pretty fantastic, pine trees, whatever you feel like doing. Mountains are my personal favorite. And there you have it.